Welcome to our podcast, where we extend what we do best here at Northern Prep Squad to you at home, giving you an honest insight into the industry from those who are living in it. Taking you through the highs and lows of being a performer, debunking some myths as well as advice and lots of inside scoop along the way. Hosted by me, Jordan, founder of Northern Prep Squad, actor, teacher and head agent at Management by Northern Prep. Joined by industry professionals and of course, some of our squad. So sit back, relax, and welcome to the Northern Prep Pod. Hello, and today we've got the lovely Glenn Adamson.
Hi.
How you doing, hon?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. Not too shabby.
Starting with the hun.
With a hun. It wasn't passive aggressive, don't worry.
Hun.
No, me and Glenn go quite a while back now, eh?
We go way back. I don't know how many years though. 8, 7, 8?
Feels forever.
No.
We've
aged a lot.
We've aged a lot. So me and Glenn met when we did this really quite random show years and years ago with our mate Luke Bayer.
Yeah, we were duet partners, weren't we?
We say duet partners. I sang about 2 lines.
Lovers. We were lovers.
Lovers. No, I was thinking of, actually, one of the kids was asking me about this yesterday, and he was like, was it true that you went to an audition once and you cracked but you still got the part? And I was like, yeah, I did crack singing like something like Defying Gravity or something in my audition in a Yorkshire accent. Wouldn't recommend it. But I was so embarrassed, and it was that audition, I was so embarrassed that when I sang my second song, which was a bit like a tearjerker, I actually cried, and the woman thought, she was like, great acting.
See,
and I was just thinking,
it round.
yeah, we made it
I'm
work.
actually a fan of a crack. I think it's quite passionate.
Right.
Flat, I'm not a fan of. But if you crack, I think it's like, it's a choice.
Yeah, we can act it out. Eh?
Yeah, I don't think you need to run away from a crack.
Yeah, well, I clearly acted it out. But yeah, so we met then, loved you, Ovs. And I've just been sitting and watching your career unfold.
And I've been watching your business empire grow.
Oh, thanks, hon. And you've been popping in to come and help along the way, which I appreciate. Actually, you were one of our first ever workshops.
Yeah, I think so, back in the day.
Back in the day in that college.
Yeah, when there was no merch, and now there's all the merch.
No merch, no kids. We had a great
poster.
time. That's when me and Jess used to join in.
I just remember you sending me all the logos. Which one?
Yeah. Which one do you think? What colour?
Now look.
Oh, now look where we are.
You can get it on a pair of trainers if you want it.
You can actually. So, talk to me then. You studied at LIPA.
I did the acting degree, yeah, at LIPA, which when I was growing up, my youth theatre, everyone went to LIPA. Okay. Like, it was sort of the place that you went. So I don't know why, because we're nowhere near Liverpool, but it was just all of the alumni. There's a lot of people. So a girl in the year above me who I was friends with was there at the time. I went up to visit her. There were 3 people from my youth theatre in my year, even though the year only had 32 people. So it's quite small odds, isn't it? But it was just, I think the way we were trained there at the youth theatre was similar to the training there. So it like fed into it hand in hand. It just seemed to be like natural progression. I'd just fallen in love with Liverpool going up to visit her there. So it just felt like the right sort of fit for me, really. But at that time, I really wanted to do an acting degree. I didn't want to do musical theatre, mostly because it was subsidised more. You get a lot more funding for that. You used to, some of the like Mount Views and Arts Eds were like £13,000, and then you needed a dada, but it didn't pay for your living. And whereas you could get a student loan, just go and study acting. It was almost like the government had said that one's worth funding, and musical theatre isn't. So
not much has changed there.
We didn't have much money as a family, so I was like, okay, I'll narrow my mindset on there. So I auditioned for loads of them, and then it was there in Birmingham School of Acting. But I knew I wanted to go to LIPA, yeah.
And then you got loads of opportunities to do musical theatre at LIPA, though.
Yeah, it didn't. Like, maybe in the natural, in what most people get doing a musical theatre degree, not really, but in the grand scheme of acting courses, yeah, a lot more. And where I was lucky was that Hannah Waddingham at the time was like not Hannah Waddingham now. She was between jobs, and she came in to do our musical theatre module.
Did she?
Yeah, did you not know
I
this?
didn't know that. You never told me that.
And up to that point, I was actually quite struggling in the year. Like, at the end of my first year, they were like, you're not good. you really need to go away for the summer and really like work on yourself and like come back and just. I had one teacher who actually I just saw recently. We went out for dinner, who I owe so much to, who like really went for me in a class once about just everything I was offering, basically. Like she said, she didn't know me at all really, but she said, I think you are really confident and you just think I can just stand here on stage and do nothing and everyone will just think I'm amazing because I like the way I look. And I was like, God, that's not like, you don't know my inner monologue at all.
You do not
you don't know
me.
my insecurity. She was like, so you play so small because you think you can get away with it, but actually just so dull to watch. And
wow.
And I remember going away from that first year and thinking, I'm going to prove her wrong and really working hard. And then now she's a close friend of mine, you know, who
See,
I
that
really
doesn't work for everybody though, does it?
No, I suppose like that could either make or break you.
Do you think you've ever carried anything, this is a bit deep, but do you think you've ever carried anything from that? Like, I know you said you went away and worked at it, but do you think that ever creeps back?
Yeah, I think so. I remember feeling it was really competitive when I was at drama school. So, especially between the boys, I found like the dynamic with the boys was really competitive. And actually when Hannah Waddingham came in, I, up to that point, had been flying under the radar and we were doing the Wild Party and I'd been given so little to do, but I'd been given this like sky high bit to sing, which they kept saying to me like, I'm going to just do that down the octave because obviously you won't be able to sing it. And I thought, they haven't even heard me sing at this. When she came in, I just did it in the octave, did the thing. And Hannah actually, like, I would love to meet her. She wouldn't remember, but I'd love to say to her, like, that was what changed the game for me there. That was what changed my whole trajectory, because they were like, oh, wow. And she said to them, he could work in musical theatre right now if he wanted to, if he can like sing those notes and whatever with that ease. And suddenly it was like a complete transformation with how they viewed me as well. Suddenly everyone was like, okay, let's nurture this. And I actually had that work ethic from that point. I said there was a dance degree at Lipper, and Lindsay, who ran that at the time, I said, Lindsay, I'm not a dancer, but can I come into some of the dance degree classes when I'm not here? Because they went on till 8 and we would finish at 6. And she said, yeah, you can go in bottom level, you can go in bottom set, come and do it, and you'll be fine. And then I actually managed to get some of the dancers to run a class, and we all paid £2. And then because everyone sort of started to be like, oh, I wouldn't mind doing a bit of that.
Yeah.
And then I paid for singing lessons on the side while I was there. I worked in a bar when everyone would go out at night, like on a Saturday night. I worked in the bar everyone went to, and I would collect all the tips and I would use that for singing money. I would pay that for singing lessons. So I did really go like, I will do this. I
will work at it.
And actually, I think it was from probably, I'm quite a competitive person. If I set myself a challenge, I would do it. And I think when Sally, the amazing teacher, said that to me, I did think, well, just you wait and see. Just you wait.
I'll prove you wrong.
Yeah. And there were loads of things where they'd meet me with, it was a very different time then in terms of what you could say or couldn't say to someone. Yeah. I don't think it would happen to people at drama school now, that someone would maybe say to you, like, I remember a teacher saying to me, oh, you're Glenn. And I said, oh yeah, I'm Glenn. I'm like one of my first terms. And he said, do you know how I knew it was you? And I said, why? And he said, because you're the one with the really bad teeth. And I was like, oh, okay.
Okay.
And then he said,
I'll get a brace.
Yeah, well, that's what he said to me. He said, you need to get a brace. And another teacher said that to me, you need to get a brace. So 2 braces in. I don't have awful teeth. But,
it's all right, we've all had 2 braces.
Yeah, but at the time I didn't even know that. I thought, wow, has that been stopping me? Or
yeah,
you know?
It's wild really how like one comment from somebody once who doesn't even know you sometimes can like change the trajectory of everything, like your mindset. I mean, it's something I'm really conscious of with regards to kids, like teaching, and I don't want to say something just like flippant that actually they might take to heart and then run with, because it is quite hard. But then at the same time, I think we're from the generation of like, we were getting the hard comments and having to like muster up how to just dissect them. Whereas now it's a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, there's sort of a fine line. I think like we tread like a fine line of maybe being too soft, and then like the industry is hard.
Yeah.
And I always think that when I go in to teach, I'm like, you know, the industry is going to still challenge you. It is still going to make you want to cry sometimes. So like, I remember actually teaching for you once, and do you remember like they all cried. It was doing acting through song. And I remember saying, what is it about singing that makes you feel so vulnerable, but you're happy to stand up and do a monologue in front of each other and make really brave choices that are sort of out of the box, but your voice is like completely different. And I've thought about that a lot when I go in to teach at colleges and things now, even if I go in at like BA level. And it does still seem people are so much more nervous when they sing to when they have to act, when they have to dance. And I think when you dance, you're part of a group usually, right?
The music feels like it's masking you a little bit.
And it's mathematical. You're either right or wrong.
Yeah.
Singing is so personal, but also you don't speak in song.
No.
So it's so personal to you, isn't it? And I think and it's so vulnerable. So I do understand it, but you have to break through that. So that was one where I thought like, I really have to be careful here because I want them to come out of this and like it have changed their life like someone changed mine, but also without like being really harsh on them and like, you know, not supporting them when they just want to say no.
There is. I think it's all comes down to like the intention of where it comes from, really, isn't it? And I think when you're honest, especially with kids, they know that. But then you've got to then support them beyond that. You can't just like what sometimes we used to get, like drop a bomb and run off.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Some of the stories.
So now you're in Bat Out of Hell on tour, and you've been on tour with this show before.
I've been on tour with it before, yeah.
Where you went like internationally and everything, didn't you?
Yeah, Australia, Germany. Obviously, we did London for the last stint, and then I've had a year and a half off. And then now, back in the UK,
Wild. Leading man, West End.
Man.
That's crazy. Well, you did a stint in the West End, we could call it that. But so with Bat Out of Hell, it's one of those shows where obviously it's a jukebox, but it's got big following. Now, you are the front man, you are the front runner. What's that like? Because people, I know at the start we had a lot of conversations with regards to a lot of like hate that you were getting when you got announced as the new Strat, because it's got such a cult following. People ended up having an image of what they thought Strat should be, and then you didn't fit that image. So there was, I know that kind of messed with you a little bit with regards to going into that role in the first place, which, let's be honest, was the biggest role yet in your career.
100%.
And being faced with like potential criticism before you'd even opened your mouth. What was that like?
Yeah, I remember it being really daunting. And obviously when you first get like this life-changing opportunity, it feels like at the time, you just want to celebrate it. And you're like, oh, I can't wait for everyone to find out I'm doing it. And then when you do that day, it's like where I was sort of unfortunate maybe was that someone, Andrew, who's amazing, had played the role since conception, since workshop. He'd done it in America, he'd done it here, he'd done it in Toronto, he'd done it worldwide, and he was Strat. Other than 6 weeks where he left and Jordan Luke Cage did it and he went to the US to do the tour, he'd done it the whole time, and everyone was really wedded to that he was Strat. And then I was the first time that was being sort of changed. And at first I think people were really dubious about someone else doing it, and they love it, and I was really aware of that, and so I just thought, I did feel overwhelmed at the time, not gonna lie. I thought, wow, I've got a really tough job here. I've got a mountain to climb, because not only is it a hard role that I've never conquered before, but before I've even got in that rehearsal room, I know that people don't want me to do it.
Yeah.
So you're carrying that with you anyway. You're going like, I'm already losing before I've begun. But you know, I love a mountain to climb.
Loves a challenge. Let's prove some people wrong.
And if anything, I thought, okay, I'll go with that. And if you don't like it, you know, you don't have to come. But I'm also I'm always aware that like the show will continue after I've left it, and there'll be someone else in my situation that will feel that because people know me doing it as well. And so there is part of you, there's sort of a twisted part inside of you that when people go to you like, you're the best Strat stage door or something, there's part of you that goes, oh, I love that. And then there's another part of me that then remembers to go, no, actually, please don't say that, because that's not fair on anyone else that touches it after me, or, you know, during the run of doing it. So I think we're all like that though. Like I remember the first person I saw in Wicked play Elphaba, and they'll probably always be my favourite. Or we've all got a favourite, someone that we saw at that, and then you go back to watch the show again. You're a bit like, oh, it's different. Therefore, I think we often think different isn't good.
Yeah.
We associate different with being bad, which actually I'm reading a book at the moment about acting, which is called Different Every Night. And it says like, you become so wedded to doing the same thing all the time that any change feels bad.
Yeah.
And I think that's the nature of seeing different people in roles, and as well, that you associate different with bad, and it's not that at all.
No.
So I am really proud of the journey that I've done with the show now. And I'm a different person to where I was. I really didn't feel like I deserved it. And actually coming back to the show this time, being asked back was a real like, oh, okay, they really like, they know I can do it. So I didn't feel like the cheaper option this time, which I think perhaps I felt last time. It was like, well, I'm cheaper than getting him in from America to do. Whereas this time I feel like,
and that because that was never from production, that was always from
they treat you so well there, but
like the vibe you were getting initially.
Yeah.
So for,
and not everyone, like some were incredible, but like there was.
But we
the
always
odd
do
comment,
that though, don't we? We always do the one negative comment.
Oh yeah.
It could be a million good ones and one negative one, and we always that's just a human.
Oh, it's like if I have reviews and like people say, "Oh, I never read reviews." I will read every review. You'll scroll through and it'll be like, "Oh, that's good, boring, good." Hated me, and then I'll screenshot that one. And I'll be sending it to everyone like they hated me, and that's the one I'll live with, and that will come back to haunt me at 1 a.m. in the morning. You know, I'll be obsessing about the bad. I think we just find the negative to punish ourselves with. It's almost like you look for proof that your worst thoughts about yourself are true. Yeah. That's what I think. So like when I felt, oh, maybe I don't deserve this lead role, I looked for the comments that reinforced that internal monologue.
That's such a, I mean, like I say, we do it with everything, don't we? Humans do it with everything. And I think a lot of, like, I mean, our squad will be watching this going like, oh my God, I do that. And it's so unhelpful, but it's also so natural, especially in the environment that we are in, like, which is, we talk about it being quite competitive in the sense of there's a lot of people and not a lot of jobs, but actually we were talking about this with somebody else, there's so many jobs, but we always concentrate on the West End jobs as being like the ultimate, or pinnacle, like the feature films, or like the series is like the commercials suddenly fall off the radar, where actually, coming through the ranks, like some of the voiceovers that people will not even know that you were even a part of have paid your bills for more so than some other things.
Totally. And actually, I remember getting Rock You at the Coliseum in London, and everyone being like, oh my God, it's the West End, but also it's the Coliseum summer show. Like, that's such a big deal. You're never going to like have an experience like that. And then being like, oh, it feels the same as doing Panto in Colchester. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just another theatre somewhere.
And it's a short run, and also it's a short run for you. So you're like, actually, this short run, great, but what? Then I've got to. What are we doing after that? Like
I sort of think, and I think that sometimes I've been to the Olivier's a few times, and I sit there and I go like, actually, like, you're very lucky that all the stars have aligned to get you to that point where you're in a show that gets you nominated and puts you here. But like, really, you could also see that actor probably in 6 months' time and Panto, and like, they're still the same actor, they're still as deserving as the award. Like, everyone is still deserving of that. They've just not had the opportunity to get them there. Like, we all work as hard as each other, and everyone is as good as each other. It's just about things being right at the right time and the puzzles fitting, I think.
Yeah, and trusting that is really difficult, and
it never gets any easier.
No,
like, that's what I've learned the whole time. It never gets any easier.
It's just how you go into it thinking about it. And I think the more you understand that is a lot to do with things, the better you are in life. I know I've dealt with, like, I mean, obviously I'm surrounded by all these kids getting jobs X, Y, and Z, that even the auditions, I look at these auditions thinking, I would love to be in front of that casting director. I got one in today, and I was thinking, oh gosh, I've never been seen by that casting director. But actually, like, since I've got to grips with the fact that one day I will fit, and as long as I keep up my skill set and keep up everything else, that day will be all the more sweeter.
Yeah, of course.
But it's not always a reflection on how good I am.
No.
It's just
I'm still
everything
learning
aligning.
That. I have to say, like, I actually take rejection harder now than I probably ever have.
Really?
I think it's a sense of, I don't know what it is, feeling like I need to, like I had a big one yesterday that previously I've done really well for. And then going back in for it this time, I'd built it up in my head and been like, oh my God, the time is now. It's all going to work out. And when I got the rejection, I took it so badly, purely because what I read from it was like, oh, well, that's it for me. This is it for me. Once this job's done, because like I can see the end is in sight, BAT finishes in September. That's it. It's always the last job in my head. No one else will ever want me, you know? So I don't know when that ends. I don't think it does, but I always hope that one day I'll make my peace with that we just get rejected, but I don't know that I will.
You don't know the reason. Do you think that's as well because you've had quite success with the show?
Yeah.
That now you feel like the pressure's on even more so, whereas maybe before it wasn't?
Yeah, you just sort of felt like no one was looking.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas now people are asking and you're like, okay, well, I don't know.
Yeah. When are you next working? What's your next job? Don't know.
Yeah. Who's
back to teaching.
Northern
Prep Squad. Amazing. So yeah, we've covered quite a lot of mindset. I mean, I know like we talk about that a lot, and so it's nice for you to share those experiences because I think a lot of people will relate to it 100%. So I remember you talking to me about your auditions for BAT and how nerve-wracking they were, and like, but how fun they were, and they were like, you did a lot of direction in the room, going away, coming back, didn't you?
Yeah, so when I first got the audition for it, well, I remember being on the tour with American Idiot and they announced Bat Out of Hell and all of us being like, we're all going to be in that. Like, it just felt like the natural progression. Yeah. And actually there was like, most of us were all in auditioning together. And I remember us doing a dance call where it was just the boys from Bat and one other person. And they must have been like, well, how do they all know each other? It must have been so intimidating for that person. But going in that room, like I had obviously never played a lead, so I never imagined that was happening. I was in for the Ledoux track in the show, auditioning for that, done all the material for it, went in, went really well, was happy with it, thought, okay, great, came back, sang for them again. And then the musical supervisor said to me, do you know any other songs from the show? It's that chill. And he was like, can you sing Bat Out of Hell for me? And I was like, oh.
What, off the cuff?
Yeah, literally off the cuff.
I mean, I've had that before.
And I said, no, I'm not really familiar with it. I didn't know it.
Yeah.
And actually, because I loved the soundtrack quite a lot, I did know a lot of it quite well. And I said, maybe no Crying Out Loud well, but only if I sight read it. So he gave me the score.
Got you.
Jordan, I'm so unmusical. I don't sight read. I can't tell you what any of that was. I just was like, maybe if I hold this, I'll feel less scared. Better. I sang it for him and he was sort of like, well done. Like, that was great. Thank you. I left the room and then Anne Vosser, who's casting it, sort of said, Glenn, can you come back in? And he just said like, will you go away and listen to Bat? Will you listen to Bat Out of Hell, this song, and come back for us and do that sort of later? And I was like, I probably need another day. But then my agent sent through everything and I went home that night and I listened to it again and I thought, they want me to cover the role. I'm still in for Ledoux, but they obviously want me to cover the role. Went in, worked through it all, actually felt pretty tragic at it. Thought,
oh, really?
I'm not very good at this. Like, it's 8.5 minutes and the stamina, I was thinking.
They did the whole song?
I did all of Bat, yeah. I did Crying Out Loud. I did the opening, Revved, but I also still had the Ledoux stuff. So I had Frying Pan. I had basically everything. Objects in the Rearview Mirror. And I was still doing, I'm Making Love Out of Nothing at All, which was another Strat one. So there was 8 songs and I had to do 4 scenes from the show as well.
Wow.
And so it was a lot at the time and still was just going like, maybe I'm in swing now. And like, no one tells you.
Yeah.
At no point. But I think actually someone with a bit more, savvy would have said to their agent, can you just ask what they're considering me for? Like now I think I would probably have gone, can you just ask them why? Like what is going on?
Would that have scared you though?
Yeah. I think ignorance is bliss.
Yeah,
because
sometimes.
I just never fathomed it in a million years. And I was actually really lucky that at that period I was auditioning for a lot in the weeks. So Bat was one of the auditions, but it was the one I wanted.
And was this whilst you were still in American Idiot?
No, we'd just come back from the New Zealand leg.
Got you.
And so I went in, did the dance call then with the rest of the boys. We waited to find out if that had gone well and then found out if we were back in, and we were. And then Went back on the Monday, did everything again, felt like it had gone really badly. And I left, and I just remember sitting with my phone, and all the other boys from American Idiot were like, I'm back in tomorrow. I'm back in tomorrow. Nothing had come for me. So I was sat there like, great, I'm fine. Like, waited till 6 o'clock as you do. Like, I remember just being sat in my flat just with the phone. Okay, nothing. 6 o'clock, absolutely nothing. And just being so defeated. So that night being like, and then in the morning waking up and it being like, oh, it's because they now just want to see you on Friday for the finals, but you need to still prepare everything, and they're going to pair you with girls. So I thought, okay, brilliant, thanks. Like, I'll work on that. However, they really want you to be in at 9:30 in the morning.
What, I was thinking, single up?
Yeah, I was thinking that's really early. Okay. Fine.
If none of you have seen Bat Out of Hell, go and listen to the soundtrack.
Yeah, it's very high for 9:30 in the morning. And I went in, I didn't get paired with any girls that day, but I remember going in and meeting like a lot of the like team from higher up, and going in and saying, oh, it's very early. And he said, oh, I know it's really early. However, our rehearsals start at 10 a.m. every day. So I need to know that you can deliver early. And
Fairs.
Actually, I was like, oh yeah, let's see. I got up at 4 a.m. and went to the gym. I lived above a pure gym, and I knew I need to trick my body into believing this is like 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
It's the only way I'll be able to deliver. So I'd gone to bed really early, hadn't really slept, but got up, went to the gym, went for a run, had my breakfast, had just been up for hours by the time I walked into this room. And I said, I started singing. I went, I sound like Bonnie Tyler. Like it was, and they were like, well, that's great. She sings Jim Steinman and stuff, because it was quite like, turn around. It was rough. Not that Bonnie is, because I've met her. She's lovely, but it did sound like you, Bonnie. And then left and had a Frozen recall that day. And I went to this Frozen recall, and I like, you know, when you bingey because something's gone really badly, and in my head it was all bad. Again, had another night where like my friend Rory texted me like, I'm back in for the finals. Nothing had come. 6:30, you're back, and you're paired with these girls. And actually someone knew this girl as well, so she messaged me and said, can I come over and we'll run everything? And I actually was like, yeah, okay, let's do it. Let's go in tomorrow. Let's be really rehearsed. Brilliant. Like, who are we going against? We don't know. And then I got an email saying, can Glenn come in at 8:30 tomorrow?
In the morning?
Yeah. 8:30.
They made you work.
They made me work
for this.
But actually, that was where they were doing me a solid, because all the other boys that I was going in with at that point, I didn't realise had I have covered the role in some capacity at other points. So we were all going in together, and I was at a disadvantage. So actually, the director got me in and just worked me. We did a rehearsal before and said, amazing. Like, I just want you to be at the same, just to know the information, the context, and to have worked on it. And that was so helpful for me. And then obviously me and this girl at the time had rehearsed everything with a fine-tooth comb, and it didn't work out that we ended up being partnered together. They changed it last minute because of the time that the Americans needed to leave. We just didn't end up going in together. So I got paired with Martha. And actually, I think that was the best thing that could have happened to me. Not that me and this other person weren't great, but there was just a spark with Martha that like, we just fit. And I remember going in and being like, she's amazing. And I did it with a few girls before her as well. But when she came in, I was like, this is amazing. Like, she was so big and bold with her choices that then I became more Strat-like. Yeah. Because I'd go like, oh my God, she's got like no inhibitions. If she's willing to do that, I'll roll on the floor and we'll do. And suddenly it became like everyone in the room sort of sat up. And I remember seeing the choreographer, Zena, who was watching. I just remember her tilting her head and saying to someone next to her, he's really good. And I saw it as I was singing Bat at the time. And it just gave me this feeling of like, oh my God. You know, like suddenly you know the inner monologue of the panel and you suddenly feel like you can breathe. Doing it all and leaving and just being like, wow, what will happen? And they said, if you're getting the job, you'll know by Monday. And it was Friday. So that weekend was just awful.
The longest weekend.
The longest. Everyone got their calls on Monday to tell them. Like, because 2 boys that I know both got offered it. And they'd had their calls. And do you work with Tagmin? Do you have Tagmin?
No, we don't work with Tagmin.
Right. Well, my agent at the time worked with, it's like a diary. It's an online diary that you share with your agent. It tells you where your auditions are and you can submit things on there. I opened Tagmin and I saw the job in there. I went to the dates of the job, and it was job. It was already in the diary.
They hadn't told you?
But I hadn't been told yet because, and I didn't know what to do with the information. You know, when you're like, what if this is wrong? What if this is like, what do I do with this information? I didn't know what to do.
Ring and be like,
it took me. I kept being like, I don't want to take that moment away from him of like ringing me.
This is why Glenn is just sometimes just too nice. I can't deal with it.
I walked around Wembley Outlet Village like, what do I do? What do I do? Did nothing with it. And then at 6 o'clock, he still hadn't rang me.
Sure.
So I rang him. And I said, oh, but it didn't say like Strat. I must stress that. Like it just said bat out of hell. Okay. And I still at this point hadn't really fathomed that I was being considered for the role. It just hadn't even occurred to me. So I rang him and I said,
you still thought you were like potential cover.
I said, hi, it's just obviously some people have heard today and they did say you'd hear on Monday. And he said, okay. And I was like, I'm not actually with this agent anymore. So I'm not, you know.
Yeah.
And I said, I didn't drop them because of this, by the way, but this is how it played out. But he said, oh, you know, and I said, well, it's just in Tagmin. I think it says that like I've got a job offer.
I can imagine you on the phone.
I was so tentative. I was really terrified. And he said, yeah, I know, but I don't have, he said, look, I'm level with you so you can tell your friends that have also been offered. But they haven't stated any information about it yet. Like they've just told me an offer is coming, but I can't come to you with dates, can't come to you with money, I can't come to you with anything. So it feels pointless to like put the offer on the table for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, you have got the job.
Because sometimes they'll ring and they'll say, we'll email it through. And then you wait as an agent and they're like,
waiting for the email.
Where's this email so I can ring this parent?
I realised was the point. And he actually said to me, I knew on Friday you got the job because when you left your audition, they actually sent me through an email saying like, he's a top choice, let us know if he gets anything. So like, I knew it was coming. Again, I was like, okay, fine. But I said to him, but what is it? Like, am I covering Strat or is it Ledoux or what's the offer? And he was like, Strat. And I was like, yeah, what, first, second, third? He was like, no, Strat. And I said, alternate? And he said, Strat. And my initial reaction, I just went, no, they've made a mistake. I said, I can't do that. That is honestly what I said. I went, I cannot play that role. And he was like, well you're going to.
You're going to because you've got it.
No. I said, they've made a mistake. I can't do that 8 shows a week. I said, I can do it once. I can cover it. But no, I said, I've done nothing. So I said, I've done nothing. Why am I doing that? I immediately knew, like, people love this show.
Yeah.
Why are you giving it to me? That was my instinct.
Glenn.
I really couldn't believe that was going to happen for me. And I still don't, to be honest. I still am like, I played a blinder there, really. The line, because I cannot audition. I'm a terrible auditioner. So something
clearly,
out.
Clearly something happened with them crystals.
It was the crystals. I actually put 3 crystals in the room. It was the crystals. I'm not wearing a crystal. I didn't wear a crystal to that audition this week. Maybe that's where it all went wrong.
Maybe. Right. So we have a little photo here.
Yes.
So this photo, I asked you to send me a photo of something that made you feel proud. So tell me about this photo.
Right. Can you see how exhausted I look in that photo? Really, really look at it.
And we'll put it in the screen so you can zoom in.
It's not my finest hour, this photo, but why I'm really proud of this photo was because that was the week from hell. Like that was a week of demands. Like we were in Hull. There was a sickness that had hit the entire cast. We were so down that it was one of the first times that I had to do. Normally I only do 6 shows, but because we didn't have enough cast and so many covers were off, it was that you needed to be in the building the entire time. And that was Magic at the Musicals at the Royal Albert Hall on the Sunday. So it was work every show. And then on the Sunday, go and sing. Me and Martha had to go down to the Royal Albert Hall. We finished the show in Hull at 10:30. We got put in a taxi with Sharon and Rob. And we drove. And we got to Kensington at 4 a.m. because of traffic. We then had to do a sound check at 9 a.m. So we had like no sleep, and then we had to go and sing at the in the Royal Albert Hall. And I just remember it being like this moment that so many people would be like, wow, I'm singing at the Royal Albert Hall. You know, like it's the stuff dreams are made of. And I just remember that moment where we're hugging each other. That's actually, we've just finished singing, and then we're watching Sharon and Rob sing. And we just whispered to each other, like, I actually can't believe we've survived it. Like, we've got away unscathed. Like, we've done it, because we just couldn't foresee us being able to actually perform that day and not be horrific. And we had a lot of things, like a lot of the big moments for the show where you've been on telly or Big Night in the Musicals, I've been sick for. It seems like the stress of it gets me quite poorly. And that was another one where, like, we'd managed to not get the illness, but we'd always had it every other time. And we just breathed a sigh of relief. And I think probably the venue after, if I remember rightly, we fell apart. Like, but I just remember us feeling like such a sense of achievement that day. And you're actually, every performer that's in Magic at the Musicals comes on and bows together at the end in the Royal Albert Hall. And we left out the back door before the bows. We didn't bow. We went out the fire exit and we went and got a cheeseburger. And I just remember thinking,
I just need to look after myself
we were
right now.
We just need to go to sleep. But I felt so proud of us that we did it. Like, we managed it, because I always say to people, when people at work are like, they go on, they do an amazing show, I don't really think anything of it. But when I know someone's really struggling, like life outside is really hard for them, or they're poorly, or they're pushing through so many things, I always say to people, well done. They go, oh, it wasn't good. And I go, no, the hard shows are the ones to celebrate. Yeah. The hardest ones are the ones where you should feel a sense of achievement, because you got through it. Like, you survived that and you still showed up and you did your job, and none of them knew about it. And because I've seen people like falling apart, but then go on stage and like turn it out. And I just think that's the stuff to celebrate, isn't it?
Yeah. We don't often celebrate those types of things, do we?
No, because we celebrate the highest note we did, or the option, or the thing that made it to YouTube that everyone's clicking like on. You know, like, I actually read a really interesting book. I don't know if this is really boring for the thing, but I've just read something about a girl that played Stand By Alphabet. It's an amazing book. Anyone performing should read it. It's called Unnaturally Green, about a girl that really struggled playing the role because of the demands on the voice, feeling like she shouldn't have been doing it because it was her first job out of nowhere, and she'd actually only done Amjam, and she went to this audition and she came out with Stand By Alphabet.
Wow.
And she could not believe it, but also the pressure of doing the show. If she ever had a guaranteed show, she got really sick because she was so obsessed with it. If she was thrown on, fine.
Your mind is so powerful.
It's so powerful. And she never performed again after it. It really made her be like, it's not worth it, the toll that it's taken on me. But in that, like, she celebrates the shows where they're really hard, but she says what she finds really hard is that Alphabet has always reduced this 20-second clip of the end of Defying Gravity, and everyone makes like compilations of that bit, and they obsess. Then your legacy is how high did you go, and it shows the note when you watch those videos, and they're like, that one got to that. And she's like, everything else I put into that show, like my acting, my everything that it took to get me there, the journey to get there, is not the thing that anyone will ever remember, which is why she wrote the book. It's really amazing.
I mean, that resonates so much with like regards to like me thinking about our squad, and the fact that like they're constantly training, they're constantly overcoming things, like journeys for them, like the goals that they're setting for themselves, which seem minute now, but then they see the person getting the film, the person getting the TV show, and suddenly that can make them feel like less than.
Yeah.
But actually, like, we need to celebrate those little things, and we talk about success a lot here with regards to like, it's not always that. It's the little milestones that you make, and I think that's so important.
It's like the journaling you do, right, with them that I've never seen anywhere else. And I was talking about that yesterday at work, actually, with someone. I was saying about that you start the day with that, and that's something I don't think anyone is doing. Like, not drama schools still aren't doing that. And it's about going like, what you're carrying into that day is actually the achievement at the end of it, is that you made it through with that, or you still achieved X, Y, Z despite what you had going on in there in the morning. And I think that's amazing. But there is still that thing where you have to remember that those people are not your competition. That's what I wish I'd known at drama school. And I think we'd have come out of it as a community closer, and we'd have gone, those people are your allies. Because once you're auditioning in the big bad world, they're the people that will hold your hand, because you're not going to be competition.
Yeah.
But at drama school, it feels like that.
Yeah.
Because you're competing for agents and you're doing all those things. It just implodes.
Yeah. And with social media now as well, it feels
worse.
like there's even more people than around you, doesn't it? Yeah. I got a lovely email today actually from a parent saying that they now bin it and park it every morning with their child because they're going through a bit of struggle at the minute, and they're setting smaller goals every week and she's smashing them. It's all about just like building that confidence, isn't it?
Yeah,
and like,
totally.
again, celebrating the little things rather than... Because they were what makes the journey great in the end, and the success even more worth it.
I think if you put the bar so high that it's like not unattainable, of course it can be attained, but if it's so high, you'll just constantly be disappointed when you're not reaching it. Like if I keep setting the bar at has to be a West End lead in this show, then if every time I don't meet that, or even an audition comes in that isn't to that level, I'm there going, well, I'm worthless.
Yeah.
I'm worthless.
And I think actually so many adults in this industry have that mindset, and it's scuppering them from actually taking jobs where they can actually have fun and like, I mean, get in that ensemble,
that's so interesting.
guys.
I'm glad we're talking about that, because this week when that rejection came in, I actually then within like 3 hours, someone had sent something through for me about another job that I would love to do, and I replied saying like, I would actually love to do this. However, I feel really worthless right now. So can we just have the conversation tomorrow? Because I actually don't feel like I'm even worth that job. So thanks. And they were like, okay, but like, wow, don't feel like that. But that is how you feel. Like your sense of self-worth can't be all this industry, but sometimes it really can
feels
feel
like that.
Yeah. I think especially when you're a child who has been like, I was like Glenn the singer in my family, even though I went on to act. Like my parents love you singing, don't they? They'd be like, oh, go sing on the karaoke or whatever.
Yeah.
It becomes part of your identity that gets you their attention or validation. Some people it's their exam results or how funny they are around the dinner table on a Sunday, but mine was singing. So when you've built your whole identity, sorry I hit the mic, when you build your identity as Glenn the singer, then when you feel like you're invalid if you're not being employed to sing. So it's learning that actually that's a job. Yeah. Like people are not their jobs. Yeah. Job, Glenn, they're not the same.
Mm-hmm. And you often, I mean, you've, again, probably also stayed in this role because you're so lovely to everybody and everybody loves you and gets on with you.
I try, but not all the time.
Do you know what I mean? I only like him sometimes. Amazing. So we've got a few questions from some of our squad for you. So I'm just going to show you them. Should we go in age order? We've got little Molly here.
No.
And Molly is 10.
Of course, when you're in amazing musicals, you do runs every night of the show. So how do you keep your character fresh and exciting?
Good question, Mol.
Really good question. Well, I've been reading that book different every night, so I actually take something on there from the book at the minute every night and try and be like, okay, what do I want today? Or like try and mix it up. I think that naturally happens. What I really love is when understudies are on as well, because you always get a fresh take from them, makes you become completely different. Mm-hmm. And you go like, oh, I love the way that played out, or like, no one's ever asked me that question and asked that character that way. So then the answer has completely different meaning.
You have to go with listening and responding. You
can't
respond how you usually respond.
And it's just that you listen and respond as a human being rather than like, I think there are actors whose performance is built in the rehearsal room and they literally do it like, that's the best way to do that. That's the best way to do that. And it will never deviate from that the whole time. It will always be the best version of the rehearsal that you're seeing on that stage. That's just not how I work. And actually, like, where I have struggled sometimes is there are shows that do work like that. And there are shows that want me to do that. And then I'm not the actor for them when I'm in the room because I just haven't ever learnt that style of training either, and I just think my body repels it. And I did work with someone recently who tried to say to me like, oh, you're changing things. Basically it was like everything is different every time and it needs to be the same so that we know exactly what you're going to do on that. And I said, oh, I'm never gonna do that. Like that will just never happen. I said, like, I can't even say to you I'll try because I actually don't agree with it. Like, as a person, I just do not agree that is what you should be asking of people, to do the same thing every single time. Yeah. That's one thing I love about BAT. They start the rehearsal process by saying, this isn't like a Disney show. It's not Wicked as well. It's not something where we need it to be the same every time. And I love that about
But I
musical.
think like allows you to keep it fresh. I mean, you've been doing the show for years now. Like, you don't want things to go stale. I mean, I've seen a few shows when I just think, I think you're all switched off and quite bored.
Yeah,
Do
you're
you know
just
what I mean?
putting in,
you can tell
like-
this is the end of a run. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Whereas that actually allows you to keep things fresh and keep, you know?
Something I love about tech, I know that I'm going too long, but where Starlight has like changed the game now, because there's new tech that means you can wear a little thing in your wig or you can wear it in your clothes. It means the lights follow you rather than you having to go to the lights.
Okay.
And that's completely transformed, I think, theatre forever, because you actually can just live in the moment. Like, blocking doesn't have to be set anymore.
Wow.
Because lights will move to find you. And I think that has completely transformed our show.
Interesting. Little plug there. Starlight. I've not even seen it yet. Right. Next up, we've got Amelia.
Hi, my name is Amelia Liddell and I'm 17, and I would like to know what has been one of the biggest struggles in your career. Thank you.
And we could have touched upon this already, but maybe, but I don't know what has been.
I think the biggest struggle in my career is me, actually.
That's fair. I would actually agree with that.
It's me getting in the way of me quite often, and the self-saboteur and the judgment that I put on myself as well. And also sometimes knowing when to say no as well to certain things. And I can sometimes overstretch myself, I think, and then be left not able to like focus on the thing I want and move forward. I'm quite scared not to work, and sometimes you have to be out of work to like hone your craft and to learn other things, and to actually have some time to reset your nervous system is really good. Especially between these big jobs. For example, like when I did Rock You, I ran a marathon, then started the next day. Like I had like 10 days between the two jobs. And I've been doing that by that point for a year and a half. And I think actually what I probably needed as a person was to reset and take some time to just like find me again, rather than the robot that was able to churn out 8 shows a week constantly. It was a lot. And like the one blessing of that rejection I got this week was that it would have actually meant me overlapping the 2 shows. It would have meant me rehearsing all day and then doing the show in the evening and then opening that literally the day after I finished that. And
this is
the
the
dream,
universe
double,
telling you.
Yeah, double money I was thinking, but actually, do you know what it would have been?
Because you haven't learned your lesson, have you?
Double exhaustion was what it was.
When are you running a marathon?
I'm not. Oh yeah, well,
On Sunday.
yeah, Sunday. Not the London one though, because I can't go there. So just
So
my
he's doing
own
it
personal.
remotely. Honestly, this is the universe telling you to have a break.
Yeah.
Glenn. Right, and then lastly we've got our lovely Lizzie, who you've met
Hi,
loads
Lizzie.
before.
Yeah.
Hi Glenn, so my question is, when you go on tour and you're in a new theatre every week, how do you not get lost?
Do you know what? I have thought this before.
Well, Leeds is actually really complicated to find
is
your way
it?
around. So yeah, I can easily get lost there. Most are quite simple. But on stage, they do like an orientation every week. So you do walk around, they show you exactly where everything is. Like, here's your water fountain, here's your dressing room, here's what the stage looks like this week. And actually going back to the how do you keep it different every day, every show, venues really help. That's why I love touring, because the show is different sizes, the set changes based on where you are. Sometimes we have like half the set to what we normally have. Sometimes we have to fill it with extra things. That keeps it fresh as well. It's a new environment. It takes a bit longer to walk to that person, or you have to move at a different speed. So I actually that's what I love about touring, the excitement of like new places give new life to the show and make you feel like you're not doing the same show all the time. I actually found it really hard when I've done shows that are just in one theatre for a long period of time. I think like, oh, when do we get a new environment?
Yeah,
when's someone going to change?
When's someone going to throw something in there?
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, but relatively easily actually.
Well, I don't think you leave the stage that much, so I can't imagine you getting lost very, very easily.
Yeah.
Well, Glenn, it's been absolutely lovely having you on our podcast. You're one of our
Thank you.
OGs, and obviously a dear friend of mine, so it was very nice to have a chat with you.
Aw,
Thank you for being so open.
anytime. I love Northern Prep Squad. You should still come here.
Thanks. Thanks so much for joining us today, and if you're interested in joining the squad, either as an associate, a management client, or just joining one of our summer opportunities, head to our website www.northernprepsquad.co.uk or check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook and X. All the links can be found in our show notes. Thanks for listening.